would you put in the Women's Hall of Fame? It's got to be somebody who's alive. Who would you put in there? Would you put somebody who'd battled the COVID virus? Somebody who'd been the face of that? Not doctor, I prefer to call her Colonel Burks. Do you remember her? Scarf Lady! Would you put her in the Women's Hall of Fame? Or would you put an anonymous frontline health worker? Or somebody who helped develop one of the 3 vaccines from Operation Warp Speed, the fastest development in human history of a vaccine for a deadly international pandemic? Well, if those were your suggestions, you would be wrong. The National Women's Hall of Fame has chosen for this year Michelle Obama for her massive contributions to, I don't know. Okay, enough of that story. What can we do? Can we do that? Can we do it, Nancy? Let's do Nancy. Oh, I like that. That is a good one. Let's keep that shot. I like that. Was a good sound. What an absurd decision. Her contribution to being angry? I don't know. Her contribution to being married to one of the laziest presidents in American history? Great. Give her a little statue, give her a little plaque and an engraved name on some wall somewhere. It's actually in Seneca Falls. That's where they decide these things. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First on the Salem Radio Network. Michelle Obama gets recognized as the amazing woman that she isn't. And then Disney is banning Dumbo. I think we should play some Dumbo later. I love Dumbo. I grew up on Dumbo. Dumbo's cool. The elephant that could fly. Not only that, you wonder sometimes, did you step into an alternate universe? Are you actually awake or are you still dreaming? When you wake up, you switch on your phone, you read your prep sheets, your materials for the day, and the headline from The Sun. Disney Plus pulls iconic movies Dumbo, The Aristocats, and Peter Pan because they're racist. Now, I do believe it's 2021. Why were they not racist for the last 60 years, 70 years? How did they suddenly become racist today? The answer to that question is really to be found in everything we have discussed on this show for nigh on 26 months since we launched America First. If you think what you're witnessing today is the result of some crazy bartender from New York being elected to Congress, or because Joe Biden is senile and can't answer any questions, has been hiding for 8 weeks in the White House, no, it is a much, much larger story. Decades in the preparation, from our teacher training colleges to the media, to film directors, filmmakers in Hollywood, to those who have crafted a narrative that everything that defines our civilization is, to use their terminology, quote, problematic. Anything that dismantles concepts of objective truth is good. In fact, anybody who speaks of truth is oppressing somebody else. Anybody who has a conservative opinion that promotes traditional values is part of an oppressive class. And logic has no hold here. You can be black and say the wrong things and be part of the white oppressive class if you don't agree with the politically correct mantra. If you're a star of a Disney show, one of their most successful shows of recent years, and you just post one photograph on Instagram like Gina Carano did, pointing out accurate. I am so angry at the conservative commentators who say, oh, it was clumsy what Carano did. It was, a bad analogy to talk about Jews being hounded by their fellow German neighbors before the war. Wrong, you cowards. It's right on the money. Adolf Hitler, that stupid, ugly little Austrian failed painter of a corporal, didn't become Chancellor of Germany, and then the next day the stormtroopers marched down the avenue collecting the Jews from the ghettos and putting them into the cattle cars. You're a cretin if you believe that. It was years and years of normalization of what? Dehumanizing your fellow man. That's how they got away with it. Whether it's that trumped up little Austrian mass murderer, or whether it's Mao in China, whether it's Lenin in Russia, whether it's the Viet Cong. It doesn't start any other way than the gentle, the subtle, and the progressive dehumanizing of those who dare to disagree with you. Dumbo, yeah, it's funny. We can laugh at this asinine decision from Disney. But it's all connected. It truly is the thin end of the wedge. If you can talk about 73 million Americans as ignorant, as racist, as jingoistic, as problematic, and today as terrorists, as a domestic threat, then we are not at all far from that phenomena that Miss Carano depicted. Already, in today's news, one of the most powerful men in the world, a recently retired general who now bears the title of Secretary of Defense of the United States, a man who is one step away from the civilian commander-in-chief who is senile, a man who can't put his pen back in his jacket pocket, who can't read a teleprompter, who can't answer questions from journalists. His handlers had to get in the way yesterday here in D.C. when they asked him questions about the exploding crisis on the border. He wasn't allowed to answer questions. The handlers had to step in the way. 8 weeks into his presidency, not one press conference. He's the ostensible commander-in-chief, but Secretary Lloyd Austin is the only one who actually is compos mentis. And he's just agreed to extend by 2 months the stationing of thousands of National Guard troops in our capital to man a 3-mile-long, 12-foot-high fence tipped with razor wire. A man who most Republicans in the Senate confirmed, even after he called members of the U.S. military enemies. So laugh for a moment, if you will, about Dumbo, Peter Pan, and the Aristocats. But understand what's really going on. I'm Sebastian Gorka. We have an amazing show for you. Jennifer Horn, Chris DeGaulle, Congresswoman Mary Miller, and so much more.